Welcome to Tig Talks. This is a series celebrating 50 years of athletics for women at Princeton. This series is presented by RWJBarnabas Health, which is official healthcare provider for Princeton athletics. I am your host, Crista Samaras, class of 1999 lacrosse player, but I'm so excited to welcome Rebecca Haarlow, class of 2001, captain of the track and field team, heptathlete, sprinter, and history major. Now a sideline reporter for the New York Knicks, MSG Network. Rebecca, welcome to Tig Talks.
This is so awesome to be here with you, Crista. I can't imagine anything better than talking about Princeton and Princeton athletics. So let's go. Let's do this.
Well, I love it. I love it. Okay, so let's start talking about just what brought you to Princeton. Now you got two brothers. They both went to Princeton. Like, what in your senior year of high school made you say, I want to go to New Jersey from Chicago?
Well, actually, at first I wanted to do something different. And so I was going to go to Dartmouth, and I just kind of wanted to do something a little different. And my brother was at Princeton, but then there was an awesome weekend where he said, "Hey, just come visit. No pressure. You don't have to come to school here. I just want you to come out." And I went, visited. The rest was history. I had so much fun. I loved Princeton so much. But for me, really, the choice came down to finding the best combination of both academics and athletics. That was my priority in looking for colleges. And I just feel so grateful that I had the opportunity to go to Princeton. And I don't think that there's a day that goes by that I don't appreciate the decision that I made at that time and am not happy about my experience at Princeton.
I love it. I feel the same. My sister went to Princeton, so I got to go with a sibling as well, and we got to play together. Talk to me about the experience of being an athlete at Princeton. So you were a celebrated athlete in high school. You go to Princeton. It's a big pond now, a smaller fish there. How and what part of your mentality gets you to become successful as an athlete at Princeton? What's going on in your life and mind? Is your teammates around you driving you? Tell me about that process.
Well, I think that from day one, I've always been a hard worker. So it was kind of second nature when I got to Princeton because I've never shied away from hard work. It was what got me there in the first place. And so to me, it was just the next challenge and I loved it. And of course, it was a higher level and all those different things, but it was all about time management. And so kind of getting the hang of that and figuring out, okay, how am I going to master my classes? How am I going to master practice and track with my friends, and finding that balance was probably the biggest adjustment, but I just loved every minute of it. So I don't think I ever thought that it was hard, so to speak.
Like good hard. You're competitive.
Hard. Yeah.
Yeah. So you come out of college and you move to San Francisco and you're interning, and you think, I read that you were going to be an athletic director, possibly. You're interested in sports, but you fell into the locker room,
Yes.
Interviewing people, and that's where you began. Tell me the feelings that you had, if you can recall those feelings, that first time you had a recorder in your hand and you're charged with interviewing people.
Yeah, it hooked me in that moment. By the way, I'm impressed with your research that that's about me. Yes. No, but that was it. I mean, it's true. I was set to go to law school, and then 9/11 happened, just completely changed my plans around, moved to San Francisco on a whim, and I ended up getting an internship with the Golden State Warriors. And so I knew I was interested in sports. I didn't know what area I wanted to pursue. And it happened to be in their broadcast department. And so my very first game, it was against the Pacers. I'll never forget it. They handed me a microphone and said, go into the locker room and do interviews for the radio show. And I was terrified because at that point, I was prepared to, get coffee or push papers around or just kind of shadow someone. And I wasn't expecting to be in that moment like that, especially because I had no broadcast experience. But the best part about it and what hooked me was, and this feeling, Crista, is all of the adrenaline feelings of competing came flooding back in. And I had missed it so much since leaving Princeton and having those track meets and those moments where so much is on the line and your adrenaline is pumping. So for me to kind of have all that come flooding back through my body, I thought if I can make a career out of harnessing those feelings, it's going to be really special. And so that's what still drives me today. It's what I still love about my job, that I can get better each and every time I'm on air. I love the feeling of going live on national television because you can't screw up. Whatever you say is going out there. It's just like competing. And so it's not surprising at all that this is where I've ended up, really.
I love that. I love hearing that story. And I also read that you did a ton of prep. So once you realize, oh my gosh, I need to have these feelings over and over again, this feels so familiar. You've been an athlete your entire life. You're like so pumped about it, which I love, that you started to then get the training that you needed to be able to do it really well. And I'm guessing it's a long road ahead. You knew that it was going to be a competitive market. So what kind of training did you do to support this new career?
I did a little bit of everything and anything I could possibly get my hands on. So I did, for example, something totally off the wall. I did improv. So I took improv classes because it taught me how to act and react on my feet in live situations. I took voice and speech so that I could work on my delivery. I had every internship under the sun in San Francisco in the sports area, where I would go out and I would be working with these anchors and these broadcasters on their stories, just there to support them. But then at the end, I would always ask, okay, hey, can I do this story just for fun? I know we're not using it, but can I practice it? Can I go through it? And just gained experience like that. And it was a lot of work because if we do our jobs well, it looks very easy. But just like anything else, that comes with a whole lot of preparation and practice. But again, it's still a work in progress, which is why it still challenges me and what I still love about it.
It's awesome. I mean, this is a particularly challenging past year, like less sports to report on, different situations that we're in, and a ton of tension in our country. And you're on the front lines of reporting stories of people who are really affected by this. How was that adjustment in your career, especially when you're on live TV? One game where you're literally the person that we're going to hear from that gets a game against the Bucks. Like, what was it like being in this very important, critical time with a microphone?
Well, it was really, really deeply meaningful to me because I believe so wholeheartedly in equality. And I think we have so much work to do in terms of civil liberties and civil rights. So to be able to continue to educate on that level was something that I'll never take for granted. And going into the NBA bubble, covering NBA games for Turner at that time was very meaningful because a big part of what we were doing down there was talking about the social injustices. And so being in that moment was just so crazy because we thought we were going on air with a basketball game. And so for fans out there who don't exactly understand what I'm talking about, just to rewind a step, in the NBA bubble this summer, the Milwaukee Bucks decided to boycott a game in the very last moment. And so we thought we were going live on national TV with the Milwaukee Bucks versus the Orlando Magic, and the teams just never took the floor. So now we're live with no game to talk about. But it was really cool because what it ended up turning into was news. And so for me at that point, I switched from sports reporter talking about Giannis Antetokounmpo being the defensive player of the year to hard-hitting news. And this is what is going on in our country, and this is history in the making. And so in that moment, I was just very cognizant of making sure that I was getting all the facts straight and reporting everything accurately as I was seeing them. It was really special, though, to be a part of it because, again, I was so proud of the Bucks and their decision to postpone that game. And it got a lot of people's attention. And that is what you need for change. So it was neat. It was really, really, really neat to be a part of that.
So as a woman in a male dominated industry, in a competitive industry for anybody, let's say, outside of you mentioned that hard work is sort of a distinguishing characteristic of yours. I also have that as mine. But what else has really helped you? Maybe even some things you harnessed from your experience at Princeton or as an athlete generally that just allowed you to sort of get the edge when you needed it, crush the call when you needed it in your career.
Yeah, well, I think the amazing thing about Princeton and what I always say is Princeton really taught me to think. It really made me look deeply into subjects and have strong opinions and do the work and the research to keep an open mind on things. And so for me, I feel like that has set me up very well in this career, because that's the foundation that you need to be as a journalist. You've got to be curious and you've got to want to tell the truth. And to do that, you've got to get to the bottom of the story and, really dig into things to get things right for people. And so I just think that foundation at Princeton helped me have confidence too, just in terms of knowing that if you do the hard work, that's going to pay off, and that you can trust that hard work and lean on that hard work in the moments where things are nerve-wracking or intense or anything like that.
What's the funnest part of your job? What's the most fun you have?
That I get to talk about sports.
Oh, so awesome. That's awesome. What's the scariest part of your job? Do you still freak out, or is it like?
No. No, I don't think I have a scariest part of my job anymore. I think there were a lot of realities though when I was coming up in the business, because at Princeton, I looked around at my peers as humans and as athletes or students or siblings or friends. I didn't look at my peers at Princeton with the lens of color or gender. And I think when you get out into the real world and in the industry that I'm in, unfortunately, that happens, where I had to go through some serious growing pains with people thinking, okay, she can't do this because she's a woman. She doesn't know how to talk about sports. She doesn't know what to say because of what she looks like, or something that ridiculous. So I think there was a learning curve for me to figure out how to weed through all of that, because that is wearing. To have somebody approach you and say, well, how do you know what to say on TV?
What'd you say back? What do you say back? Like, what do you say back in that moment? Like, how do you deflect some of that? I mean, people talk about the way you look all the time. I'm certainly people talk about, especially reporting on the social justice stuff. Like, as a white woman, how do you handle being a public person when it becomes so about you, but you're out there trying to do this job that you're very capable of doing? How do you deal with that?
Well, it's interesting, because I think when I was younger, it affected me. I think I used to read all the blogs, or I would read all the comments that you could find on the internet and stuff like that. And all of that is just an energy suck. It's such a waste of time. And what you realize over the years is that when people are making those comments, whether or not it's about me or other issues that are going on, or saying that, athletes should just shut up and dribble, that kind of thing, it's not a reflection on me. It's a reflection on whoever is saying it, their insecurities, and whatever it is that they need to do to grow. And so when you can kind of look at it through that lens, you can just kind of laugh it off. And depending on the scenario, sometimes when I get that question, I'll just throw it right back with, gee, wow, that's a great question. I don't know. I don't know how I know what to say.
I love it. Yeah. Let them sit with it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So you got to have fun with it.
Do you pinch yourself Yeah, you have to. I mean, do you still like walk into Madison Square Garden? I'm a New Yorker. I live in New York. I used to live right there at 30th and Ninth. But do you walk in there and just pinch yourself? Like, is this real?
Yeah.
Still?
Yes.
So
All the time.
awesome.
All the time. Because Madison Square Garden is such a special place. And I grew up watching the Bulls win championship after championship. So I've loved the NBA so much ever since I was a little girl. And so for me to be in the Mecca and working in that environment, there is not a day that goes by that I don't appreciate it. And the other thing is, New York fans are just animals. I love how intelligent they are. I love how they know their sports. I love how loud they are. And so when that place is packed, everyone on their feet screaming, there is no better feeling.
Mm. So I always love asking a question like this because a lot of the work that I do is with young girls who are athletes. And what do you think if you went back to like the 10-year-old you and you were like, hey, Rebecca, you're going to go to Princeton. You're going to be a track and field athlete. You're going to then report on sports for a living in one of the greatest like places for sports ever with great fans. What would she have said at 10 to you?
You know, I think on one hand, I would have counted my lucky stars and been super grateful and thought, wow, that's amazing. I'm so lucky to have that opportunity, and just, be excited and feel blessed about that. But then on the other hand, I think I would tell myself, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised that you're going to go and get into a space where you're going to challenge this notion that women don't belong in sports, that we don't know what we're doing, that we don't have a place in that space. And I'm not surprised at all also too, if that makes any sense. I remember back in high school, quick story for you. I was so upset because at that time it was gymnastics, it was track and field for me. I had women and men who were playing tennis and golf and all these other sports who were winning state titles. And yet the basketball team, all they did was qualify for state. That was it. And we stopped school, had a huge parade, this whole thing. And while that is amazing and I support that, why wasn't that happening for the women? Why wasn't that happening for the men in those other sports that don't get the same kind of attention? And so that's why, I wanted to be an athletic director, because I just felt that there was a lot of growth that needed to happen in athletics. And so, yeah, if you had told me back then that I would be doing this, I wouldn't have been surprised.
Well, you do it so well, and we so appreciate your time telling all your stories today. I love particularly your posts on Instagram when you wore that Be Bold shirt and posted for International Women's Day. I think it's so awesome that girls can see you on TV, reporting on men's games, but on sports in general. Thank you so much for being here with us today. It has been awesome.
Crista, thank you so much. This was great. You're the best. Appreciate it.
Awesome.